All right, so we are going to solve equations that involve CLT, combining like terms, and DIST, the distributive property. We're going to first clean up each side of the equal sign, and that means, do you need to distribute? Do you need to combine like terms? You're going to ask yourself those questions. If you need to distribute, do it. If you need to combine like terms, do it. Once it's cleaned up, you're down to a two-step equation. So all you're going to do is move one term to the other side of the equal sign by adding or subtracting, and then you're going to get rid of the coefficient by either multiplying, dividing, or using a proportion, depending on which method you like. I'm going to go with the proportion. You can do the division or the multiplication by the reciprocal. All right, so here's our first problem. First of all, left side, right side. Remember, we've got a left side of an equal sign and a right side. When I do these kind of problems, I love this box method. Take that entire left side, put it in a box, and take the entire right side and put it in a box. That way you can see one problem versus the other. Okay, if you've got your hand, cover up the side that you're not looking at. For me, I'm going to cover up by just crossing out that right-hand side. So on this left-hand side, if you look at that, I have three terms, a negative 10, a positive or a plus 5n, and a positive or a plus 8n. So what I'm looking for are like terms. So this is what's going on in my head over here, okay? Do I have like terms? Like terms are either just numbers, go back to first grade, 4 and 7, you're going to add them together, or they're variable terms, 4x and 7x. They have to have the exact same variable. And if it says a plus between them, what I'm doing is I'm saying, how many of those little x's do I have? Well, I'm sitting here with 4 of them. You're sitting there with 7 of them. So altogether, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 x's. So what you're really doing is you're adding the coefficients and you're saying that's how many x's I have. If it was subtraction, 4x minus 7x, what you're doing is you're subtracting the coefficient and saying that's how many x's I have. So it would be negative 3x. So that's a real quick lesson on like terms. All right, let's get rid of that so it's not in our way. Erase, 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 erase. I'm really good at that, aren't I? And over here, my like terms are going to be my positive 5n and my positive 8n. So that negative 10 is just like little brother. He's just hanging out, driving you crazy. So you just keep him there. Can't get rid of him. Mom would be mad. So you've got negative 10. And then in your head, you're taking 5n plus 8n, which really means you're saying I have 5 plus 8, and what am I adding? N's. So that comes out to plus 13n. Now, I got to bring that right side back in, so it equals 3. Oh my gosh, look, I'm right down to a two-step equation. Over here, I have a variable term, 13n, and I have a number term, negative 10. Look at what I've got over here. It's just a number. So I'm going to move the number term, that negative 10, by adding a positive 10 to both sides. Remember my checkpoint. I love this part. Cross off the negative 10 and the positive 10. Make sure they cancel out. What do you have left? 13n. Bring down your equal sign. 3 plus 10 is 13. Multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. We're going to divide both sides by 13. Checkpoint. 13 over 13 cancels. So n is equal to 1. If you want to really be fancy schmancy, you can check it. So negative 10 plus 5 times, insert that 1, plus 8 times, insert that 1, and we want to see if that equals 3. So that's negative 10 plus 5 plus 8. Negative 10 plus 5 is negative 5, and negative 5 plus 8 is 3, so it does check. All right, next slide. We're going to just keep doing the same thing over and over again. So we're going to just reiterate, left side, right side, box in the left side, box in the right side. Which side am I going to look at? Left side, you say? You are correct. So this side I'm just totally ignoring right now. I've got a number. I've got a variable, and I've got another variable. Question, are the variables the same? X and X, yes they are. So over here in my head, I'm going to take the negative 6x plus 5x, and I'm going to combine them. What happened to my 5? Okay, there it is. So I'm taking negative 6 plus 5, and what am I combining? X's. Negative 6 plus 5 is negative 1, and what do I have? X's. So I have the 6, remember little brother, just bring him down. Negative 6x plus 5x combined to be negative 1x, and then I got to bring back that equals 7. Back to left side, right side. There's my left side, there's my right side. My left side's the one that's got the minus sign, so that's the one I'm going to do the moving from. So I'm going to subtract 6 from both sides. My checkpoint here is 6 and negative 6 cancel. So I have negative 1x equals 7 minus 6 is 1. I'm down to multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. I'm going to divide by negative 1. Do your check. The 1's cancel, the negatives cancel. All you have left is x, and 1 divided by negative 1 is negative 1. Last time I'm going to do the written check because most of us aren't going to do it. You should. You should always check it, but we're not going to. Maybe we'll do it in our head, but that would be a good thing to do. So 6 minus 6, insert the negative 1, plus 5, insert the negative 1 instead of x, and we want to see, does that equal 7? So 6, negative 6 times negative 1 is a positive 6. 5 times negative 1 is a negative 5. 6 plus 6 is 12. 12 minus 5 is 7. Yupper duppers, it checks. We are happy. We can move on. Next problem. There's my left side. It's got a negative 19. There's my right side. Holy moly, that's got a lot of stuff going on over there. So I'm going to look at the right-hand side this time. So we can just cross that out for right now or cover it up. Use a little Post-it, use your hand, just get rid of it. And we're going to look. Right here we have a variable, we have a variable, we have a number. So I'm looking at the two variables because that's what I have two of. 2z minus 3z. These are like little zebras. I've got 2 zebras. I'm going to subtract 3 of them. And what am I dealing with? Z's. So that gives me negative 1z. So I'm going to bring down the negative 19. I can't ignore it. Bring down the equal sign. I combined these two to get negative 1z. Bring down the negative 10. So one thing I didn't talk about, you're just always bringing down everything that you're not looking at to combine. That stuff just comes right down along with you. You can't get rid of it. So now I got to look at the right-hand side. I've got negative 1z minus 10. Remember, when we have two-step equations, we always look at what part has the plus or the minus. Over here's a number. So I'm going to move the number, which is the minus 10. I'm going to add 10 to both sides. So negative 19 plus 10 is negative 9. This is where we talked about that bring down. Bring down that equal sign. We didn't touch it. The negative 10 and the positive 10 cancel. Leaves me with negative 1z. Down to multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. Now this gets a little hairy because the z's on the left-hand side. A lot of us just want to divide by whatever's on the, it's on the right-hand side, whoopsie doodles. Divide by whatever's on the left-hand side. No, you divide by the coefficient. The coefficient is the number with the variable. So I'm going to divide by negative 1. Negative 9 divided by negative 1 is 9. The 1's cancel, the negatives cancel. All I have left is my z. You can check it. You should check it. I'm not going to do it for you. All right, next problem. Here's the left side, right side, left side, right side. The right side is just a silly little negative 8, so we are not going to look at that part right now. Look at the left-hand side, though. Do you have to combine like terms? No. What you have here is called the distributive property. Can't write and spell it at the same time. Distributive property. The distributive property is when you hand out, that's what distribute means. You hand out something to everybody else. So what I'm looking at now is a 4, multiplication, remember, means times 4 minus 2x. So this whole thing is what I'm going to look at right now. And when I distribute, I'm going to make little rainbows. I'm going to multiply, because that's what this parenthesis right here means. It means multiply. Oops, that looks like an X, doesn't it? Don't do that, Jackie. This means multiply. So 4 times 4 is 16. Now, when I do this next one, I'm taking 4 times. I got to be careful. It's that entire second term, which, remember, that's either a minus if there's a number in front of it, or it's the same thing as a negative. So now I'm taking 4 times negative 2x, and that's a negative 8x. So I'm going to go over here. I'm going to redraw those little rainbows. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times negative 2x is negative 8x. Bring down the equals and the negative 8. And oh, looky, looky, we're back to a two-step equation. So over here on the left-hand side, that's where my plus or minus is. I got to look at which term I'm moving. My right-hand side has a number. This is my number term. That's my variable term. So I'm going to move the number. To move a 16, I'm going to subtract 16 or add negative 16. 16 minus 16 cancels. So I have negative 8x equals negative 8 minus 16 is negative 24. Down to multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. So I'm going to divide by negative 8. Remember, you got to do that checkpoint, whether you actually physically do it, best idea, or mentally do it, okay idea. Make sure the 8's cancel and the negatives cancel. And what you have left is x equals negative 24 divided by negative 8 is 3. Now I am going to go ahead and check this one for you because it's kind of confusing. Go back to the beginning. You have 4, you got a parenthesis, you got a 4, you got a minus, you got a 2. Whoops, there's your x. Insert the 3 in place of x. That's supposed to be black. Equals negative 8. That's what we're trying to find out. Now, do you remember your dear Aunt Sally? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. That P stands for do the parentheses first. So inside the parentheses, I have 4 minus 2 times 3. Got to do that first. So that's 4 minus 6. Inside the parentheses, 4 minus 6 is negative 2. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. That's what I want. Happy check. Or, saying this quietly, you could use your calculator. You do 4 times parentheses, 4 minus 2 times 3 parentheses, and see what it equals. It better equal negative 8. All right, next problem, left side, right side. On the left side, I got a bunch of stuff. On the right side, I just have negative 36, so I'm not looking at that side. Over on this left-hand side, I've got that distributive property. My big hint for the distributive property are the parentheses. So I'm taking negative 4 times y. Do you remember what's in front of that y? Lazy, lazy mathematicians. There's a 1 there. So negative 4 times 1y is negative 4y. And negative 4 times 5, that's a positive 5, so that's going to be negative 20. Bring down the equals and the 36. Look what I'm down to. I'm down to a left side, right side, two-step equation. Variable term, number term, and what I have over here is a number. So I'm going to move the negative 20. I'm going to do that by adding 20. The checkpoint, cross off the negative 20 and the positive 20. Yep, they do cancel. Life is good. So what we have left here is negative 4y equals 36 plus 20 is 56. Down to multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is division. I'm going to divide by negative 4. Do your check. Negatives cancel, or 4's cancel, negatives cancel. You have y left. 56 divided by 4 is negative 16. Watch your sign. Okay, next slide. Left side, right side. Left side has distributive property. How do I know that? That parentheses is a hint that you're going to distribute, but this is really, really, really important. Remember that laziness that we had? I've got negative times. Well, how silly is that? Negative times. I don't even know what that means. I need a number. So what do we put when there's no number there? We put a 1. Really important. So now what I have is negative 1 times 3x minus 7 equals 4. Now I can distribute. Negative 1 times 3x is negative 3x. Negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7. And that equals 4. Look what I'm down to. Two-step. The left side has the plus or the minus. So I'm going to take care, variable term, number term, got a number over here, so I'm going to move the number. I'm going to subtract 7. Do your check. Positive 7, negative 7 cancel. So you have negative 3x equals 4 minus 7 is negative 3. We're down to multiplication, so we're going to divide both sides by the coefficient. That's negative 3. Do your check. 3's cancel, negatives cancel. You have x left. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. Okay, look what I did this time. I got tricky, tricky, tricky. So what I'm doing on this side, left side, right side again, left side, right side. This time my right side is my mess. So just ignore the left side. Go to the right side and remember your questions are, do you need to combine like terms? Do you need to distribute? Parentheses are a hint that you need to distribute. So over here, I've got negative 20. Negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. And what do I have tagging along? The p. Then I've got negative 5 times positive 7. That's negative 35. What did I have that I didn't touch? An 85 and an equal sign. Still looking at left side, right side. My right side is my mess. This is a variable term. This is a number term. Over here I have a number. So I'm going to move the number. To move a minus 35 or a negative 35, I'm going to add 35. So I'm going to take 85 plus 35, which is 120, equals my negative 35 and my positive 35 cancel. So I have negative 20p. Down to multiplication, so I'm going to divide. Remember, we divide by the coefficient. That's the number with the variable. So I'm going to divide by negative 20. 120 divided by negative 20 is negative 6. The 20s cancel, the negatives cancel, and we get p. Okay. Now, whoa. This is just what we call a mess. Holy moly. So our question is, do we need to combine like terms? Do we need to distribute? And I'm asking those totally wrong because guess what we have to do first? We have to distribute first. Look at this left-hand side. Here's where you're going to mess up. Your little eyes are saying, oh, look, I've got negative 6 minus 8. Don't do that. Remember your dear Aunt Sally. We have to take care of parentheses first. Can I add k plus 6? No. I can't add k plus 6 because one's got a variable, one's a number. They stay k plus 6. But I have parentheses. Parentheses, remember, are a hint for the distributive property. So I've got negative 8 times k plus 6. So I'm going to take care of that, which means I'm going to bring this negative 6 straight down. Then I'm going to distribute. Negative 8 times k is negative 8k. Negative 8 times positive 6 is negative 48. And what do I still have over here? Equals negative 86. I'm going to tell you right now, one of the most missed things in algebra. You take negative 6 minus 8. Your mind says you got to subtract first. Nope, nope, nope. Please, parentheses, e, exponents. My dear, addition or multiplication and division. Aunt Sally, addition and subtraction. That comes last. We can't add until everything else is all cleaned up. So now on the left-hand side, I've done the distributive property. Is there combining like terms to do? Yes, there is. Why, yes, there is. This is a number. This is a variable. This is a number. What do I have the same? I have two number terms this time. So I'm looking at the number negative 6 and I'm looking at the number negative 48 and I'm going to combine those. So negative 6 minus 48 is negative 54 and I still have minus 8k and I still have equals negative 86. Remember, if I didn't do anything with it, I bring it straight down. Left side's the one with the minus sign. Number, variable. On the right-hand side, I have a number, so I'm going to move my number term. To move a negative 54, I add 54. We're going to add 54. Negative 54, positive 54 cancel. So I have negative 8k equals negative 86 plus 54 is negative 32. Get down to multiplication, you're like, easy peasy. We just divide by the coefficient, negative 8, and we end up with k equals 4. Be careful of your signs. Oh, wait, what could you use to make that easier? Your calculator. Okay, next problem. This is getting pretty nasty, and I still have a couple more after this one. Holy moly. Left side, right side. Look at that left-hand side. That's about as messy as I can get. This right-hand side, leave it, ignore it. Again, you're going to look for, do you need to distribute first? Your hint are parentheses. You got some right here. Take the number in front, including the sign, which means I'm going to write negative 6x. I'm just bringing that down because I'm not touching it. Now I'm taking a positive 8 times negative 2x. That's negative 16x. Then I'm taking a positive 8 times negative 6. That's negative 48. Then I'm bringing down the equals and the negative 136. On the left-hand side, you've got a variable, a number. So which ones do you get to put together? The two variable terms. Negative 6 minus 16 is negative 22. And what are you combining? X's. And you still have minus 48 equals negative 136. Left-hand side is the side that has the plus or the minus, variable, number. Right-hand side has a number. That means we're going to move the number. We move a minus 48 by adding 48 to both sides. Negative 48 and 48 cancel. So I have negative 22x equals, and this is going to be negative, boy, this would have been a good time to bring that calculator again, negative 88. Down to multiplication, so we're going to divide by the coefficient, negative 22, and I get x equals 4. All right, next slide, we're getting close. Left side, negative or 130. Right side, mess. So remember, on the mess, the first question is distributive property. So I'm going to go, let's use yellow, from the parentheses and the number in front of it, including the sign. So I'm not touching the 130. I'm not touching the equals, and I'm not touching the negative 4x. So bring all those down, then start making those rainbows. Positive 2 times 1 is a positive 2. A positive 2 times negative 6x is a negative 12x. Left side, 130. Right side, it's a mess, so we have to clean it up. Combine like terms. Variable, number, variable. That means I'm going to do a variable and a variable. So I've got that 130 I'm still not touching. I've got that equals I'm not touching. I have negative 4x and negative 12x. Negative 4 and negative 12 is negative 16x. And I'm going to bring down the plus 2 because I haven't touched that. On the left side, I still have 130. On the right side, I still have stuff I need to take care of. I need to move. The 130 is a number. Negative 16x is a variable. 2 is a number. So I'm going to move the number term. I'm going to move the plus 2, and I'm going to do that by subtracting 2. The 2 minus 2 cancels. 130 minus 2 is 128, and that equals negative 16x. Down to multiplication, so I'm going to divide. Be careful, we divide by the coefficient, which is negative 16, and the 16s and the negatives cancel, so on this side I just have x. Over here I have negative 8. So x is equal to negative 8. Next, so glad I went to the next slide. Look at this mess. Still ask yourself the same question. Is there distribution to do? Yup, but how many do I have? I've got 2 of them. There's my first distribution, and there's my second. So I'm going to do them at the same time. I'm going to take 2 times 9n, that's 18n. I'm going to take 2 times negative 1, that's negative 2. I'm going to take positive 7, remember you take the sign with it, times, ooh, what's in front of that n? An invisible 1. So positive 7 times 1n is plus 7n, and a positive 7 times a positive 6 is plus 42. And then I'm going to say all that equals negative 60. After we've distributed, the next thing is combine like terms. So over here on the left-hand side, I've got variable, number, variable, number. So this time I can put the two variables together. So I'm doing 18n plus 7n. Those are my two variable terms. And I can put the two numbers together, which is negative 2 plus 42. And of course that all equals negative 60. So 18n plus 2n is, 18n plus 7n is 25n. Negative 2 plus 42 is 40, and that equals negative 60. Okay, I'm kind of anal here. I was taught that the equal signs have to line up. This all should be moved over, but you get the point. Left side, that's where my plus sign is. I've got to move. This is a variable, this is a number, and over here on the right is a number. So I'm going to move the number term. So I'm going to subtract 40 from both sides. The 40 and the negative 40 cancel. I have 25n equals negative 100. Multiplication means I go ahead and divide by the coefficient. So n is going to equal negative 4. All right, last slide of this group. Left side has the mess. Here's the important part. I've got 18x minus, and I don't have a number. Put the 1 there. So the first question, remember, you always ask yourself is, do I need to distribute? The hint is parentheses. When you do the distribution, take the sign with the number. So the 18x just comes down. I'm taking a negative 1 times 8x. That's negative 8x. I'm taking a negative 1 times negative 7. That's positive 7. And the whole thing just equals 67. Over here on the left-hand side, I've got variable, variable, number. So I'm putting the two variable terms together. 18x minus 8x is 10x, and I still have plus 7, and it equals 67. We're down to our two-stepper, variable, number, number. So I'm going to move the number. I'm going to do that by subtracting 7. 7 and negative 7 cancel. So I have 10x equals 60. Down to multiplication, divide by the coefficient, which is 10, x equals 6. Ta-da! So those are just about as messy as you can get if all the variables are on the same side. Next video, whoa, variables on two sides.